In this video, I'm going to show you the one tool that I use to fix my drawings of Spider-Man, Daredevil, and the Punisher. Have you ever finished a drawing, looked at it, and just felt frustrated? You can see that the character's proportions are slightly off. A limb just looks stiff. A face just looks flat. Let me tell you, I've had a few of those. Now, I want to show you the difference between a pretty good block-in and a version that's dynamic, powerful. The change is dramatic, and I did it without erasing a single thing. What if you could change proportions, sculpt features, and perfect your foreshortening without ever hitting the undo button or touching the eraser? It almost sounds like a cheat code, doesn't it? For years, I would get stuck on that final 10% of a drawing. My art looked good. Some might even say solid. But I never had that punch, that dynamic energy that I could see clearly in my head. I'd waste evenings erasing and redrawing an entire portion, trying to nail the perspective, only to end up with a stiff and overworked mess. No more. Bro, I was honestly convinced I couldn't make dynamic art. Like, fuck? And let me tell you, that feeling of being stuck is one of the worst for any artist. That's just a one-way ticket to Burnout City. But then, I found the one tool in Procreate that changed everything. In this video, I'm going to show you the one tool that I use to fix my drawings of Spider-Man, Daredevil, and the Punisher, ladies and gentlemen. The Punisher! This is the tool that feels like a secret weapon for my digital art. And I'll show you how to use it to instantly level up your own work and escape that frustrating cycle of draw, erase, redraw, repeat. So what is this magic wand I'm talking about? It's the liquify tool. But isn't that to make weird, trippy looking swirls? Well, yeah, you can totally do that, but its real power, its secret identity, is being the single best tool in non-destructive sculpt. Let me say that again. It's being the single best tool for non-destructive sculpt. Let me show you where to find it in Procreate. You'll find it by tapping the adjustments icon, the little magic wand, and then picking liquify from the list. Once you're in, you'll see a few options at the bottom. Push, twirl, pinch, expand, and a couple of others. Honestly, for all the fixes we'll be doing today, we're going to be living in the push tool. I want you to think of the push tool not as a smudge or a blur, but as a digital clay. You're literally pushing and pulling your artwork. You can grab an outline of a character and nudge it into a more exciting pose. You can take a flat muscle and carve it into a three-dimensional form. You can fix a wonky jawline with one single smooth stroke. All of it without wrecking your line quality or your textures. It's a total sanity saver. This is a game changer because it lets you focus on the energy and flow in your early painting, or sketch without getting obsessed with the perfect pose right away. So many of us get hung up making sure that the bicep is an exact right length and we kill the life out of the pose. Liquify lets you bring that energy right back. It separates building the drawing from sculpting it. Sketch loose, then fix it with liquify. It's really that simple. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First up, Spider-Man. Since the Spider-Man trailer is what inspired these artworks, it's only fair that I start with him. Starting it off, I've got this block-in of him in an iconic pose. Now, it's okay. The idea is there, right? Somewhere. But it just feels a little bit off. The form and anatomy is a bit The arms look short, the legs look a little bit too thin, and the proportions are completely inaccurate. But that's okay, because when painting loosely, my priority is to get the idea on the canvas first, almost like a thumbnail. I can then sculpt it and perfect it as I go. Before I started using Liquify, my only other options was to have either a perfect sketch to start with, or erase the problematic part. I'd probably have to redraw it 5 or 6 times and then lose that initial spark of energy and creativity with every single attempt. But now, it's GDA, baby. I use the cheat code. Just look at how the pose changes from here. I usually start with a pretty big brush, maybe around 50%, and keep the pressure low, like 45 to 55%. You don't want to go in too hard. It's always better to build up the effect with a few gentle strokes than to make them one giant distorted mess. First, we should fix the focal point, which in this case is the head and the chest area. It's too straight, too rigid for Spider-Man. I'm just going to take my brush and move things around. Now keep in mind, the more zoomed out you keep the drawing, the more you can make changes to the whole, since the head relates to the torso and the torso to the limbs and so on. Look at that. In about 30 to 45 seconds, we went from a flat and compromised artwork with fundamental issues to something that feels more anatomically accurate and a pose that's fitting of Spider-Man. And in all of that, we didn't erase a single brushstroke. You get me now? All of our original blocking is still perfectly there. We just nudged it into a better position. And now for the icing on top of the cake. Building on top of the newly sculpted silhouette, the key to good sculpting is to add a variety of medium to small brush strokes on top of the work you did with the liquify tool on all those loose brush strokes from the blocking. These go hand in hand because once your silhouette is solid, you can take depth further and add focus to your focal point and leave the non-important areas a bit looser. If you literally want to sculpt depth into your 2D drawing, remember this: the further into detail we go, the smaller your brushes become. By the way, if you're finding this helpful and you're tired of fighting with your own art, maybe think about hitting that subscribe button. I want to post videos like this all the time where I share my journey and what I've learned so far and hopefully help you get the best out of your digital art and feel more confident as an artist. It's free and it literally helps me out. Now let's go fix that Daredevil. Now, I know he hasn't appeared in the Spider-Man trailer, but I definitely feel like he belongs there since we already saw the Hand fighting Peter, right? I feel like he's coming. But then again, Marvel cooked with Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Oh my god, that shit is fire. Yeah, I just hope they don't F it up. So without further ado, let's cook. I actually pulled this artwork straight from a comic book panel that instantly caught my attention because it literally shows you what Daredevil is all about in one image. That's the same thing that Marvel and Netflix got right in the TV show. He's ready to fight whatever, and whenever stuff comes his way, his fists are always willing. But again, this one started by being just fine. The idea of the man with no fear is there, but he looks stiff. The idea of motion is there, but the art doesn't translate it. The foreshortening is weak, so it lacks that powerful impact. This is another classic case where you have to erase and redraw over and over and over again to get the flow right. But with Liquify, we can just reshape and move stuff around to where it needs to be. I'm jumping back into Liquify on the push setting. I'll start with a medium brush and high pressure. The first thing I want to fix is the overall posture. It's too rigid. I'm going to move things around and make the things that should be further back, like his head and arm, look smaller. That should help with the foreshortening effect. See how that immediately gives him a sense of movement? He's the man without fear, a world-class ass whooper, and his pose needs to reflect that. Now, for the main event, that foreshortened fist. It's all about the scale and overlap. I'm going to push that fist outward and enlarge it to get that foreshortened effect. I want it to look larger than his head and the rest of his arm. That sells the perspective even better. Over here, I could even use the expand setting in the liquify tool with a very low pressure and make the fist just a tiny bit larger. But I just wanted to focus on the push for this one to see the limits of what I can and cannot do. Would you look at that? In under a minute, we've taken a stiff figure and turned him into a dynamic martial artist. You can feel his movement through the air. We modified the entire pose, fixed the foreshortening effect without a single erase mark, keeping all that initial block-in energy intact. And now that the foundation is set, I like to follow this one rule. Detail is the reward for good structure. Just like I did with the Spider-Man artwork, we can now build on top of it with medium to small brush strokes to get it from blocky to finished. The key here is to keep your focal points more detailed than the rest of the artwork. It's important to let each area of the artwork contribute to the whole in its own unique way. Next is Frank Castle, the Punisher, baby. Y'all saw that trailer, right? With this painting, the pose isn't about action or motion. It's about pure fucking intimidation. Oh my god, bro. Woo! I want him to feel heavy, grounded, and intimidating as he stands there holding a rifle and a hand cannon. Oh my god. My main problems here are a little proportion and location issues that are killing the mood. His face has a few issues. His expression is kind of blank, which actually makes him look less imposing and more like a clown. I want to get that classic Punisher grimace, man. That nastiness, bro. I want that I'm gonna put you down face. That I'm gonna kill you, bro. That don't fuck with me, bro. That you know what I mean? Yeah, that Punisher. But here, his nose and mouth need a little shifting into the right place. His left arm is also riding a little bit too close to the torso, which just looks awkward instead of powerful. We'll take care of that later. These are the tiny things that will drive you absolutely insane. If you erase and resize the head, even just by 5%, you suddenly have to redraw and reposition all the facial features. It's a total nightmarish waste of time, but not with Liquify. Now, understand this. I love John Bernthal's portrayal of the Punisher, bro. Holy shit. So you know I gotta do him justice with the likeness, right? So first, let's tackle that facial structure, keeping the focus on the push tool. We don't have to do too much, but move the nose and the mouth into the right positions in order to get that menacing grimace. See that? The face just got more Punisher-like. Now that's a proper scary dude. Problem 1, solved in a few seconds. Now, about that awkward arm I spoke of. Still with the push tool, using a medium-sized brush, I'll gently nudge that left arm out and down. I'm not just pushing it straight out, I'm pushing it out and slightly back, almost like I'm buffing him while keeping the proportion, making it into a more natural, ready position. While I'm at it, I can give the hand and the gun that foreshortening effect. It's all connected. Now he looks grounded and more menacing, not stiff and disproportionate. In less than a minute, we fixed his posture and gave him an expression that is 100% the Punisher. Now seriously, think about how long this would have taken with an eraser. 10 minutes, 30, an hour? We did all that in a minute. From this point forward, it's time to reward ourselves with details in the right place. Let's cook. Now that you've seen the basics, let me give you a few pro tips to help you master this tool. First is the Reconstruct tool. Inside Liquify, you'll see a mode called Reconstruct. This is basically your magic undo brush. Let's say you get a little too excited and you push a feature too far. Instead of resetting everything, you just paint over that spot with the Reconstruct brush and it'll morph it right back to how it was, leaving all your other edits untouched. It's amazing for fine tuning. Second, don't just stick to the push tool. Expand is fantastic for adding mass to muscles and making an impact more explosive. Twirl is great for adding subtle sense of rotation to a limb or a dynamic twirl to a cape. Pinch is awesome for making areas slightly smaller and more compact. The best thing you can do is to play around with them. The worst that can happen is you hit reset. My third tip is to use the Liquify tool in different stages of your process. I use it on my rough sketch to fix the overall gesture. I use it again on my clean line art to perfect my contour. I even use it on my finished colored layers, push the highlight so it wraps around the form more convincingly. It doesn't just fix mistakes, it opens up creative doorways. It lets you think more like a sculptor, pushing and pulling forms until they feel right, without the punishment of having to redraw everything from scratch. So no, the Liquify tool is not just a gimmick. It's a solid and core part of my digital art process, and it has saved me from countless hours of pure frustration. It's what lets you take a good drawing and nudge it into being a great drawing. It gives you the power of fixing those nagging little problems with poses and proportions that keep a piece of art from really shining. It's actually the closest thing we have to a fix-it button in Procreate. I really hope you'll open up one of your drawings right now, one that you really like but always felt that it was a bit off or something was missing from it. And just play with the liquify tool for 10-15 minutes. Push, pull, pinch, and sculpt. See what happens, and I promise you're going to have a light bulb moment. What's your favorite underrated tool or hack? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it and maybe feature it in a future video. Thanks for watching, and if you learned something today, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Now go and make something awesome.